Today we've got a special guest joining us, Ron Wright from Johns Creek Pharmacy. So welcome, Ron. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're located and about your independent pharmacy?
Sure. Yeah, we're located in Suwanee, Georgia, North Atlanta, Johns Creek, Georgia, pretty much that area. We started 2 years ago, just a little bit over 2 years ago. We just celebrated our second anniversary, December 29th of 2021 is when we opened. It was formerly Concord Pharmacy, and Mr. Mack and Lisa, they retired. And I mean, they had 24 locations over the years, over 45 years of doing business. But the pandemic hit, and at that time they had 17 locations. And then post-pandemic, they came out with only seven. And it was just a rough time, as you know, a global pandemic. So Mr. Mack kept his promise. To make a long story short, he said that he was going to sell us that particular location. McKesson wanted to buy all of them, but he sold them the other six locations, and he kept his word and sold us that one location. And he said that in 45 years of having the business and all his years of practice, he felt my wife was the best pharmacist that he'd ever known. So that meant a lot to us. So we're there and just trying to grow the business and serve the community and just provide value.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, congrats on your 2-year anniversary. And
Thank you.
I love it when people uphold their commitments and their word, like there's
Yeah.
nothing more satisfying than that,
You
right?
know, there's a quote. I'm a big quote guy. Napoleon Bonaparte, he said, "The easiest way to keep one's word is to never give it." So, I think about the guys that got like a thousand quarterback rating. It's like, man, he's a great quarterback. Well, he's only thrown two passes. They both were touchdowns with it. The guys who are actually grinding and putting in the work and putting their word out there and then making good on their word. I have the utmost respect for them.
Absolutely. Ron, well, I know you and you're a husband and wife team, right? So tell us a
We
little bit
are.
the dynamic between you and your wife and how you run your pharmacy.
Yeah, my wife dispenses all of the medicine. She takes care of that, because you'd be dead in 2 weeks if I had to do anything with the medicine. But I handle all the logistics and the marketing and pretty much everything behind the scenes. I handle. So we've been married, I guess, for 9 years now, and we dated for a year before that. But her mom had got diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And
Mhm.
so my wife wanted to see her name on her mom's pill bottles. And so we said the only way to do that is to become a pharmacist. So she ended up going back to school, in pharmacy school, and that's what she did. We did not expect to be able to, own our own pharmacy, but we're thankful for it because, just the world of independent pharmacy is so rewarding, just being able to not be a pill mill, not just push the pills and try to meet rates or metrics, but to be able to actually add value to the community. So the other way that we kind of tag team and work together is my wife, of course, she's got a doctorate in pharmacy, and I have a diploma in advanced sports nutrition. I've got several personal training certifications. So I try to bring a holistic approach just to have like a balance. It's like, why start with the open heart surgery? We could probably, go down the path of the low fat diet first to see if, that might improve before we put you on some Crestor or one like that. I mean, we adhere to whatever the provider says, but we also try to just introduce some other aspects of life or just some other, you know, uh, just solutions that might be more sustainable than just being on pills for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I know you're ringing in Amit's ears because Amit is a big mindset and nutrition guy. So Amit, I'm sure you've got some great insights to share with Ron as well.
Yeah, Ron, it's nice to meet you. I've had a store for almost 25 years, so I want to say congratulations. You've done an amazing job. First 2 years are tough, I know,
Yeah.
for you and your wife. But I love the combination. I'm a pharmacist, and I
Hmm.
try to work with patients on diet, fitness, and mindset.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
love I'm doing it kind of soul on my own, and I love the fact that you and your wife can do it together. It's just a
Hmm.
fantastic experience. It must be so rewarding for the both of you.
Yeah, I mean, we make a really good team because, I've got a lot of blind spots, and she's, she's strong in areas where I'm weak, and vice versa. So, us working together, it tends to work out really well. And one of the big things is just, I'm a guy that believes that it's not either or, it's both and. So it's not a matter of you not needing this prescription that your provider said you need it. You do need it, but over time, from you improving the diet or eating a little bit low fat foods, or eliminating some saturated fat or some sugar or salt or some of the hydrophilic uh, foods that you're eating, we might be able to not so much just completely take you off of a medicine, but you might be able to go back and the provider say, well, your blood pressure's a lot better now. Maybe instead of a 10 milligram, it might be 5 milligram. You can gradually get weaned off, as opposed to just being stuck on something for the rest of your life, or trying to self-medicate and just cold turkey stop taking medicine. So we're just big on trying to improve the overall quality of life for anybody that we come in contact with. It's not just about the pills, or and actually, it's amazing because um, I do a lot of work at a lot of the schools in the community as well. And we actually just got a new intern today from Fulton County Chattahoochee High School. We're partnered with the Fulton County Talented and Gifted program, and so we always mentor a student. The last 2 years, those students have gone on to be accepted to UGA, so we're very proud of that. But we work with them 2 days a week on the direct pharmacy related items, and then one day a week I work with them on some business administration items and some regulatory compliance and credentialing and things like that, just to try to expand their mindset, give them things that they're not going to just come across in the textbook. And so it's just amazing when you think about just the mindset typically is, oh, you just, pharmacy, you just want to make money. It's like, no, adherence is not just about making money. It's about even saving the overall healthcare system. Because if you got a $3 copay for, some medicine that you're not taking on a regular basis, just because you forget about it, or, maybe you said I couldn't afford my other medicines, medications that I was on. And so you don't take it, and you have some type of lapse, and then you end up with some type of adverse event, or you end up in the hospital. I mean, think about just the strain on the entire healthcare system, financially and from a manpower standpoint. And it all could be started, or prevented. The root cause is adherence. So I believe it's the University of Colorado did a study that's called the Nudge program, where they sent out, like, I believe it's 10,000 text messages, and they were able to improve. They had an 83% improvement on adherence from sending out these messages 10 days before it was time for the prescription. So just that little nudge, that's what the name of the program was. It made a world of a difference.
I
What's
love it.
incredible, Ron, is you started. Sorry, Jay, you go ahead.
No, go for it, Amit.
I was gonna say, Ron, it's incredible that you started this from this mindset from right initially taking over the store, which is great because you'll be known as that holistic nutritional approach. But the more important questions, are both of you Bulldog fans? That's what I have to know.
No, we're not. I'm not I'm a huge boxing fan, and
Okay.
I like pure wrestling and pure boxing. I coached wrestling down at Eagles Landing Christian Academy for about 5 years. I was a wrestler. So that's my thing. My wife, she played basketball. She went to LSU, so she's definitely not
Oh,
a Bulldog fan, but
yeah.
I love it. A couple of things you said previously that I wanted to highlight. First, I love the fact that your wife and you are attributing to her mother, right? And putting
Mhm.
her name on the pharmacy, on the prescriptions. And I think that's a beautiful tribute and a way to celebrate someone's life. One of the things that Amit talked about is the challenges, right? Of
Mhm.
the first 2 years are very challenging. You started in the midst of COVID, and now we're kind of leading into, the big topic right now most pharmacists are concerned about is the DIR fees, right? So
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
are you kind of finding ways to combat the challenges that every pharmacist is facing right now to create
Yeah.
growth and profit amidst the challenges that are always going to be, there's always going to be some challenge out there,
Yeah,
but what are
yeah,
you doing to kind of innovate there?
we don't. We had this mindset when we first started off that if people wanted to be at CVS or Publix or Walmart, they'd be there. They wouldn't be at Johns Creek Pharmacy. So they're there for a reason. It's a specific niche of people that are they're pro small business, they're pro free trade, they're they're not anti uh, retail chain, but they just want a personalized service. It's the difference I always say between getting a standard military crew cut and going to a stylist and getting a personalized haircut. It's a huge difference. And um, we specialize in compounding and also compression socks. We're partnered with the vein clinic upstairs in our building, also Atlanta vein specialists on Johns Creek Parkway. And we have a niche, but with the DRR fees, we don't do a whole lot of Medicare or Medicaid. Not that we're not able to do it. We Pharmacy First is our PSAO, and so we are able to process a lot of claims and get funds adjudicated, and we get hit with some DR fees, but we know we never see it because it comes through the PSAO. Um, but yeah, that was a huge problem with Concord. Getting just destroyed with DRR fees. I mean, that last year they were in business. I mean, between his 7 locations, like $1 million in DRR fees. I mean, the PBMs are gangsters. It's a mafia. I mean, it's well known fact. And so, we just decided as we were even getting started, the easiest way to win that war is to not fight that war. And so, we're able to provide to pretty much anybody that walks through the door. Either we're contracted with them directly, which you have to be with the major players, the Caremark and the Humana and Aetna and all them. But as far as like the Medicare and the Medicaids and whatnot like that, we still are able to process them through Pharmacy First through our PSAO. And so there's limited, I know like this year, the DRR hangover and the 2024 and all that, we weren't overly concerned about that because we're just not in that game. I have a great friend of mine, Dr. Brett Wright, and I mean he was just a conglomerate. He owned 18 pharmacies, got out of the game, started a telemedicine business, and now he's cranking up another pharmacy. He's up in Memphis, Collierville, Tennessee, and he had one of his pharmacies that he ended up converting to strictly compounded. And I've met with several primary wholesalers because right now, I mean, we work with several secondary wholesalers, and I'm just I know their mindset. The primaries are, hey, we want you to keep growing because as you grow, you're spending more money with us. But the thing that I try to tell them off the rip is, I might be putting more emphasis on growing in the compounding than growing in a way that's a win-win for you and me. So
Right.
we're able to provide a value to the community. We're able to provide tailored medicine to people in the community. We're able to provide medicine where people are able to have the allergens and preservatives removed from this same prescription, or the topical creams for people who are not pill takers, or just able to do pretty much anything with the compounding, and that's something where there's no insurance involved, so we thereby avoid the whole DIR nightmare in the first place.
I think mindset is ringing in my head right now. It's your mindset of how you approach things, right? And I know Amit is real big on mindset as well. Amit, did you want to add anything to that topic?
Yeah, Ron, I love the fact that you get into value driven from the onset. And I love this. It's taken me years and years to really discover this on our own, that the mindset is everything, meaning it's value driven, right? So if a patient comes in and we get this issue because it's very competitive in our space, what differentiates us from the chains? And our first thing is we offer value. And I won't say this, but I think this: if you don't see the value in coming here, then maybe you're not for us, right?
Mhm.
And I love the fact that you, without saying that, it's stayed in our minds that
You know,
you're
just this year, I've been doing something kind of here and there, kind of, but just this year, I purposed in my heart to do release 2 reels every week just to add value to anybody that's a Johns Creek Pharmacy supporter in any way. And so I release them on social media on Tuesdays, every Tuesday. I call it Training Tip Tuesdays. And I'm kind of talking through some things that you can improve on as far as exercise or stretching or anything like that. And then on Thursdays, I call it Thought Life Thursdays. And I'm breaking down food psychology and just the typical mindset that you would need to have in order to be able to move the needle. Because a lot of times people think, I'm just going to train hard in the gym, but it doesn't matter how hard you train in the gym. It's the other 22 hours that are going to get you, the sedentary lifestyle. You're not going to be able to offset that. So, we I do a lot of work over at Innovation Academy. We have a program called the Mentors Program, and it stands for Model Educators and networking, model students and educators networking together for organic, reproducible systems. And so what it is I'm pretty much pouring into the upperclassmen in the morning sessions, and then they are in turn facilitating the afternoon sessions, and then we even have another aspect of it called the Booster Shot program, where the underclassmen put projects together for the middle schoolers as well. They're all STEM and STEAM projects. Of course, innovation has the 3 pathways: the IT, the healthcare, and the engineering. And so, we're super excited between that, the mentors program, being partnered with the Fulton County Talented and Gifted program, the work we do with Love Beyond Walls, of course, feeding the homeless once a month down at College Park in the Woodward Academy parking lot, but then also once a quarter being partnered with Kaiser Permanente, where we bring the mobile biometric health screening unit, and people are able to just get on that truck. And we've had people that say, I haven't been to a doctor in over 10 years because I didn't have insurance. And we were able to bring the doctor to people who couldn't get to the doctor. So, I had a guy ask me at the trunk or treat event, at Halloween out in City Hall at Johns Creek. He asked me, he said, what's the difference between you guys and CVS, or, who he named a few different pharmacies. And I looked around and I thought about it. I said, do you see them out here giving your kids candy? And he said, all right, you know what? I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you tomorrow morning. So I'm proud of us being able to add value, whether it's through social media, fitness and nutrition tips, whether it's through mentoring kids, whether it's through even providing a glimpse of hope or just different ideas or vantage points to other pharmacy owners. I'm just proud of the fact that we're able to just add value in some type of way. There's a quote that says, uh, the best teacher is experience, especially when it's somebody else's. So we try to provide that value through that way.
I love how much you are involved. You and your wife are involved in the community. And I think that speaks volumes about the difference between the big box retail chains and the independent pharmacy owners. That's such a big commitment. And I think it comes from the heart, right? It comes from
Yeah.
a purpose and wanting to make an impact and make a change. Ron, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more. I know that you do some things like you feed the homeless and you do mobile med. Like, tell us a little bit more about some of that community outreach that you're doing.
So, I mean, we get, I don't know, anywhere from, it could be 200 families that come through, some drive, some walk. But it's right in College Park. The organization is called Love Beyond Walls. They just celebrated their 10-year anniversary. Dr. Terrence Lester, he's one of my best friends. He's the founder. And before pandemic, it was every week that we would feed the homeless. But post pandemic, it's once a month. But it's still a great event. It's always a great turnout. So we give non-perishable items, food items, chapstick, OTC items, aspirin, things like that. So, I mean, it's just great, and I met Larry Davis last year. So we had the first event in August, and the Kaiser Permanente Biometric Mobile Health Unit. I get them to come down and they just park in that parking lot. And so instead of us just giving the food out, anybody that wants to get on the truck and get the biometric mobile health screening, they do. And when they come off, I measure them for compression socks, and I give them the non-prescription compression socks, like the 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury, and then we send them on their way. But I'm super proud of it because I feel like we're able to do something in the community, and a lot of those people would never be able to repay us in any type of way. And I really feel like that's when you actually are accomplishing something, when you're doing something for someone who might not ever be able to repay you. So there is no angle, there's nothing that, what can I get out of this, Um,
It's amazing. I love it. And what I just keep hearing in my head too is Amit is a big impact guy. He's all about making an impact. And Amit, maybe you can talk a little bit about like, how most pharmacists, right? Like Ron mentioned this, like chasing the numbers, chasing the data, but at the end of the day, it's really about the impact that you make. So what can you kind of add to that, Amit?
Yeah, Ron, I'm writing down all these ideas. These are incredible. I mean, in 2 years, you conquered the world in 2 years. Pretty amazing. You and your wife. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's kudos to both of you. Um, I just think that impact in general, being able to reach patients, that was our biggest dilemma, was how do we reach these patients? And that's what we got on board with RX Ambassadors. And I want to share with RX Ambassadors, we've been able to impact via emails and text messages and just reaching out. Say we have a total of 10,000 patients, we're able to reach 20,000, 30,000. And this is what RX Ambassador has done for us. I love, Jason, for you to share with us just something you've done in our business to help us, just to kind of illustrate to Ron what you've done in terms of just being able to take his messages, which are incredible on social media, and put them out there to thousands of people.
Yeah, I think and that's really true, Amit, in terms of his growth has been incredible, Ron. When I first met Amit about 4 years ago, right at the heart of COVID starting up, he wasn't doing any marketing in his business, and he was kind of the old true and try way of just relying on referrals. So my wife and I own a digital marketing agency called Automation Agency. And with that, we have a world of knowledge about how to implement marketing automation and sales automation into small businesses. And we started working with Amit. And long story short is within a 3-year time span, Amit went from 0 emails to over 6,000 emails. He went from having 5,200 patients to over now 10,000 patients. And he's in a small town of Yucca Valley, California, that has about 21,000 people. So he's effectively supported and served over 45% of the entire population coming to his pharmacy, even though there's the big box retail chains, the Walmart, yes. And I think it really boils down to that level of commitment and the level of patient care that Amit has and his staff. All we did was enable him with the right tools and technology and marketing. But you talked about the nudge program. And when I was listening to it, I was like, man, this rings so true to the fact that it's just a matter of having the right follow-up in place, having the right channels of communication. So maybe you could speak about how you've implemented, new channels of communication for your pharmacy patients and how that maybe has impacted their lives a little bit more positively.
Yeah, we have kind of an older patient base or customer base. So recently we partnered with a company, well, two companies, but Nimble RX. They're a company that there's no monthly fee or anything, but instead of when you go online to refill your prescription, instead of RX30 and their merchant, the funds going through them, they'll go through Nimble. And so Nimble, their thing is that they will display after you've made you've selected your prescription. They'll like show you, some compression socks or some vitamins or supplements, different things that we have, like kind of the front end, things that disposable income give you an option to be able to spend a little bit more money, buy that stuff. And then once you close out and you check out completely, there's a short ad, like a 10-second ad or whatnot that will run. And then we get paid for, that ad being ran. But if the customer chooses to close it out or whatnot like that, they don't have to do anything. So I looked at it as a win-win, because I said, even if I can get 25% of our customer base to start using the app and refilling like that, then I've cut down on the workflow through the pharmacy. And then I've also cut down on my bill, my merchant bill, from RX30 and WorldPay. So it's definitely a win-win, and it's a way to kind of showcase some of the other items that we have in the store, as opposed to somebody going online just buying the prescription, paying for the prescription. So, I mean, in a pharmacy, I believe, or any business, I think you got to keep the main thing. Like if you're a hot dog stand, you can't start, selling ice cream. I mean, you can, but you can't sell more ice cream than you do hot dogs, So, I mean, we're a pharmacy at the end of the day. But I think some of the secondary items, or I mean, just even the compression socks have been huge for us. I mean, just really huge for us, and I've done several podcasts, even with me talking about the compression socks. I mean, I like to think that I've become a subject matter expert in the area of compression, compression garments and compression wear. And it's like, if you see an area, just an opportunity, I feel like it's important to kind of see a need and then fill that gap, So, that's a lot of what we've been doing. We really just kind of got active on social media maybe in the past year, because I was not a social media guy. I didn't even have any social media accounts. I was so irritated when I found out in order to have a business Facebook page, you got to have a personal Facebook. I was like, what? This is a scam. I can't believe it. I was frustrated, so I started it up. I ended up going through a guy who had a marketing company, and I learned a lot from him. And I went through another large company, and I learned a lot from them, more of examples of what not to do. I kind of got burned. It was bad. And especially as I started learning more, there's even this, I do a lot on TikTok now, especially for the fitness, and it's really exploded. I mean, like really exploded to where I'm getting ready to start doing a live show. I might even do it daily, because it's really exploded. But I repurposed a video from the podcast that I was on, and I mean, the guy, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. So I was on that podcast. He's a really good friend of mine. It's the Secret to Success podcast. So I repurposed and chopped it down to like a 1 minute. It was a 6-minute segment, but I chopped it down to like 1 minute, and I put it out there, and it's like, man, people went crazy. People were like, oh man, this is fantastic. And I'm thinking like, man, me being, somebody that's a complete novice with all this, the marketing stuff, how's it this company I was paying tens of thousands of dollars couldn't figure out like the best way to, I'm like gift wrapping you, hey, I'm going on the #1 motivational speaker in the world's podcast next week. It's like, how do you not, like, I'm putting this stuff in your hands. Like, I don't know if you're going to have another customer that's going to gift wrap you, just these opportunities like that. But here again, it's the difference between getting the military standard crew cut and going to the stylist. We on our website, we have a link to an article from Newsweek that they did back in like November, and it was talking about just how it's not just a matter of preference. It's actually a matter of it being dangerous what's happening at some of the retail chains. When you're doing upwards of 500 prescriptions a day, the span of control is just, I mean, it's out of whack. There's no way for you to safely dispense that many prescriptions. Something is going to happen. And the only thing is, we don't know if it's going to be something that's uncomfortable or something that's fatal. We just don't know, but the burnout is real. And so they end up, I've got a lot of friends that, are retail pharmacists, and it's like, they don't want to be rude. They don't want to be mean or short with you, but it's a huge difference if you've got, 50 to 100 scripts to fill as opposed to if you got 500,
Mhm.
and like the line is going on and the drive-through is waiting for me. And, it's just a system that it's not designed with the best maximum outcome for the patient in mind. It's designed for profit. And so that's what happens. That's what you get.
Yeah. One of the things you said resonated with me. You talked about, you being a knowledge expert, right? And that's actually one of the things that Amit has been doing in his pharmacy is, he's now looking at how can I take this patient database of 10,000 and how can I educate them? And so we've started to help Amit to create an online membership site and a personal brand. So Amit, I'd love for you to kind of speak on that and how that resonated with you.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. And Ron, I was big on pretty much the holistic approach I noticed. So I've been doing this for almost 25 years. I've dispensed over 3 million prescriptions. So I'm sort of I want to call myself a chain pharmacy in terms of volume, but we manage on it. But I 100% agree with you. There has to be checks and balances. But I've noticed the patterns that diet, exercise, and mindset is what governs every one of these patients, right? Or I should say, right? But it's not. So with the help of Jason, we decided to go on a personal brand. I'll be talking about the impacts of diet on mental health and really dialing in on that, on what you put into your body affects how you perform, how you think, how you focus daily. So we've sort of branched out and now taken that to the next level. We're in the process of putting a course together, teaching patients the importance. Because like you, Ron, I'm sure you've seen, I I'm now getting tired of seeing patients again and again, and we're not making any changes, right? I'm just dispensing medication. So the question comes up, you've been dispensing for 25 years. Now all of a sudden you don't want to dispense anymore, and will that affect your business? Well, no, not at all, because diabetics are still going to get their medications, right? High blood pressure will still get their medications, but we're going to talk about the impact of how we can have them live a more impactful and just a healthier lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that's what we're taking our brand into. I think it's important we separate the two a little bit, because people think pharmacy, I want to come and get my drugs. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we offer a lot more value, and clearly you have an offer, you and your wife offer an incredible value, more than prescriptions, right? More than medication.
Yeah. And man, that's so powerful what you're saying. It's the mindset, it's the vantage point, it's a perspective. I've got a couple sayings. One of them is, you might not always be able to change your predicament, but you can always change your perspective. And when it comes to the mindset, it's not so much that you 25 years, all right, now I'm stopped dispensing medicine. It's okay, well, I'm shifting from only dispensing medicine or medication to now I'm dispensing medication and information. And so I have a big saying with my fitness. I tell people, if you could eat what you wanted to eat and look how you want to look, you'd already look that way. You wouldn't need me. Just stop and think about it. It's insane for you to think you're going to continue to, well, I like these burgers. I always get pizza on Friday. It's like, well, you're going to continue to always look the same way. If you could eat what you wanted to eat and look how you wanted to look, you'd already look that way. But people don't put the two together. But they think, okay, well, I'm gonna just go to the gym, or I'll get some Ozempic, or some other, off-label drug, and I'm gonna. But what happens when you have to come off of that, and now all these cravings that you haven't dealt with come back? All these things that are unresolved, they come back to the surface, raging, and now you gain 40 pounds, and now what's that going to do to your psychology when you end up looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, man, I had lost 25 pounds and now I gained 40 pounds, nothing worked. Well, no, you just didn't go about it the right way. You were looking for a quick fix. You were looking for a magic pill or a miracle drug, when there's no substitute for hard work. So, I'd love to connect with you guys, offline and even after this, because I'm extremely passionate. I won middleweight Mr. Georgia back in '05. And, I was a bodybuilder, no drugs. I always say, as long as they don't test me for chicken or sweet potatoes, I'm fine. But I still train. I have during the pandemic, I ended up building a gym at home. And it's a really nice gym because I always tell my wife, like, I really don't like home gyms. So if I'm going to train at home, it's got to be really nice. So I've got, a commercial hack squat machine. I've got a 100-pound heavy bag. I've got a cage. I've got a Versa climber. I've got a Bowflex Max climber. I've got a treadmill. I've got everything. So I'm very content. But people just don't realize that I feel the resistance is about 10% of the pie. The cardio is about maybe 5% of the pie, but then the diet is 85% of it. And it's like, food is the most powerful drug. Anything that you put in your body that acts as a catalyst, to just cause a chemical cascade is a drug. And food is the most powerful drug. So my wife and I even have a program where we talk to kids. She'll talk to them about the danger of prescription drugs in the medicine cabinet. And I talk to them about the danger of the drugs in your refrigerator, which is the food.
So good.
That's
We
so
always run.
powerful.
Yeah, so I would say along the same lines, we always say we can't let your feelings dictate your actions. Right? So I don't feel like I feel like having a chocolate cake. I don't feel like going to the gym today. We always remind them, can't let our feelings dictate our actions, right? And we share this with our
Yeah.
patients, and it's hard to hear sometimes because you do it anyways, right? Even though I don't feel like doing it, I'm gonna do it anyways, and that's what it really counts. So these kind of little wisdom tips that we share are great. I'm sure similar to what you do.
And it's important to even educate patients that way. I mean, you can't tell somebody what to do, or you counsel them and you educate them on the medicine that they're taking. But if you're able to have a relationship, that's one thing I was talking to the students at Innovation Academy about last month. It's a huge difference. Even now, you see like this new phenomenon where there's like a pool of doctors, there's a team, and so the pro of that is that you're able to make an appointment at any time and see anybody on this team of doctors because someone's always available. They're always somebody scheduled, so anytime you want to make an appointment, you just get on your app and you're in there. The downside of that is you're not able to have that one-on-one relationship. So, earlier in life when you have less health issues, it might not be a big deal, but later in life you start, having a few different complications or issues. It might be a little bit harder to have that conversation to say, hey, I've been feeling like this, or I haven't been able to do this. And because the relationship's not there. And so we're big on the relationship with the patients and, and just kind of educating them and letting them know, hey, look, this is why we're here. We want you to utilize us to, I don't mind being used. I just don't want to be misused, Henry Ford has a great quote. I mean, it's fantastic. I use it all the time. He said, the only thing worse than training someone and having them leave is not training someone and having them stay. And so, that patient that keeps coming and they're on the same prescription for 10 years and they're not changing anything about their lifestyle, just I feel like, you might not be able to just, go in. You can't fix people, you manage processes, you lead people, but you might be able to lead that person into, just being able to present a choice to, hey, I want to present an option to you. It's something for you to go home and think about, pray about, talk to your spouse about it, and, and then let them kind of, decide on the next steps. But if it's not even presented, which in most cases, just the time constraints don't allow for it. The time constraints don't even allow for conversations at the doctor's office. I mean, they're in and out. In order for that practice to stay profitable, that doctor's got to give you the best 7 minutes of his life. Any longer than that, they're not profitable. All the seats aren't full on this plane. So I'm only at this location on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I'm, at the other location on Fridays, and I'm in surgery on Mondays. And I mean, it's no knock against it. It's a business, but a lot of the on the charts, just think, we catch that at the independent pharmacy from having conversations, having a relationship. So how's that been working out for? Well, you know what? I've been having some headaches a little bit, this and that, and blah blah blah. Oh man, maybe maybe your medicine's too strong. Maybe you're your blood pressure, might be too low, or, just anything. And just having those conversations from having that relationship can expose them and introduce, patients to new concepts and new ways of thinking. And then also just educate them on, this is how care ought to look.
100%.
Ron,
I love it. Sorry, Just, yes, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ron, you said so many powerful things that have just resonated with me. And it's one of the things that I think gives an opportunity for independent pharmacists, right? As you mentioned, the doctors don't even have the time to build relationships with their patients.
No.
But this leaves an opportunity so big for independent pharmacists to build this relationship, create this level of engagement with them that that they're yearning for, but they can't get, right? And I think that's a key differentiator between independent pharmacy owners and, again, the big box retail chains. So Amit, I know you had something to share. I just wanted to say that it resonated very deeply with me on that, what you shared.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. This just stuck out yesterday. I had a patient come in, and she was an older lady with her caretaker, and she said, "Do you mind?" The elderly patient didn't was maybe she was a little bit hesitant to ask the pharmacist questions, so the caretaker did. Says, "Can I have her look at your medication?" I said, "Yeah, let's bring them all in." So she brought in about 8 of her bottles, went through each one. She was taking them every 2 hours. She didn't have to do that. So I asked her, I said, "Do you have a blood pressure monitor?" She goes, "Well," after I went over all her medications, cleaned everything up, she says, I have one, I use it on my wrist, and it kind of doesn't work all the time. I said, well, let's get you a blood pressure monitor. You're on blood pressure medication. And are you taking a multivitamin, any type of vitamin? She goes, no, I don't do that. So we added a multivitamin. The next day, her mother went into the hospital for something else, and she told the nurse, she said, my pharmacist suggested a few of these things to the doctor. The doctor said, who's your pharmacist? I've been practicing for 25 years. I've never heard of a pharmacist taking the time to speak to you about someone about medication. And she was telling me this, and I was shocked. I'm like, this is the first time you've ever had a conversation longer than 5 minutes about your medication, which is important. We could have changed your blood pressure patterns completely, right? And that moment right there just it resonated with me to realize that these small things that seem small to us, these are very impactful things to patients. Right? And this, I think, differentiates independence from chains. And we do it because it's what we do, but it's not the norm.
No, it's not. It's not the norm. And even with working with people with nutrition, and like I said, I've got some amazing videos and a lot more to release. It's on TikTok, at Johns Creek Pharmacy. But one of the things that I will talk about on the one that comes out next week is, you can't manage what you don't measure. It's something as simple as getting a food scale. If 3,500 calories in either direction is a pound, I mean, we don't know if you're gaining weight or losing weight. We don't know. We don't have a point of reference for how many calories you need, what's your caloric intake versus the expenditure. We have no idea. We don't, because I mean, you wouldn't take a road trip if your fuel gauge didn't work in the car. It would be insane. So I mean, it's like, just being able to take the time to sit down and talk with people and just, have them to understand, like what you did, something as simple as, hey, as a point of reference, let's just start with you being able to measure your blood pressure at home for yourself. I mean, or even, diabetics, because a big part of the mentors program is we present case studies in the form of questions and allow the students to have to answer them, open-ended, so that to try to critical thinking, and so, one of the things we're talking about with them is, if someone is diabetic, and they just like, all right, I normally take, my insulin at 5 o'clock. It's like, well, did you even check your blood sugar before you took the insulin, or did you just out of habit? I'm just doing what I normally do. You got people on that end of the spectrum and people on the opposite end that, they're terrible at adherence. It's like, but both of them can be bad. It's like you can't manage what you don't measure.
And Ron, it's so good to say that, because what we always say, where performance is measured is where performance improves, right? Even something as very simple as basic as a lot of patients we even talk to about, what's a protein, what's a fat, what's a carb. And a lot of, we don't know what we don't know, but they're measuring in what are we measuring exactly, right? Just getting specifics and really just I think a lot of it comes down to just admitting the fact that sometimes I just don't know certain things. So
Yeah.
asking questions, right?
Or even like there was an article about Kind bars, and
Mhm.
the FDA made them take the healthy or off of the label because they were over the ratio for saturated fat. And it's like so many times people oh yeah, I just eat fruit, I just drink fruit juice, it's healthy. It's like, yeah, fruits are healthy, but if you only need 1,500 calories a day and you're drinking 800 calories of it from orange juice, you're probably not going to get any leaner. You're not going to hit your fitness goals. So it's just the information. If information was enough,
Right.
since we've got Google and Siri and whatnot, there would be no problems in the world. Nobody would be sick. Nobody would have any car trouble. Nobody would have any, leaky roofs. Nothing would be wrong if information was the key. It's the application of the information. So, I feel that the independent pharmacy is that point of care where a lot of the information is either able to be applied, improved on, expounded on, understood. I've recently started a podcast at Innovation Academy, and it's called the Earflocusin Podcast. It's a play on words from the medicine ofloxacin, in the same way that it is able to stop the spread of bacterial infection in the ear. Our goal is to stop the spread of misinformation in the world of independent pharmacy. And it's from a student-led standpoint and point of view. So we're really excited about that and proud of it. But that's the thing. A lot of times, misinformation is almost worse than having the information at all. Sometimes it's better to not know something or never have heard it than to have heard the
Right.
wrong thing, and then you just keep going down this path. It's like when that thing in school, grade school, when one kid starts off, and at the end of the table, it's like it's a whole nother message that's being told at that point. So, but yeah, I mean, just being able to just stop, take the time, build the relationships, be in the community. Because people, I mean, our whole our mantra, our tagline is the competence to know what's right and the character to do what's right. Johns Creek Pharmacy, and I came with that because there's a book. I'm a voracious reader, and there's a book by Stephen Covey's son, Richard Covey, and it's called The Speed of Trust. And he said that trust is comprised of two key components: is character and competence. And you can end up having a competence breakdown where it's like, well, man, he meant well, but he just didn't know what he was doing. He messed up, and people will give you another chance. But if you have a character breakdown where people know you intentionally tried to steer them wrong, or something that was lucrative for you, it's very hard to recover from that. But I was sitting here as I was doing the business plan, and I said, man, you know what? My wife has character and competence. She's got both. You can really trust her. I mean, really cares about everybody that walks through that door as if they're family. And so it's like she genuinely cares about elderly people. She genuinely cares about kids. She genuinely cares. And there's a huge difference. And I feel that everybody who takes the oath, doctor, pharmacist, anybody, I feel like you genuinely care. However, when there's a difference from you caring and having to deal with 100 scenarios today, and you carrying and having to deal with 600 scenarios today. And there comes a point when you're stretched so thin, it's not supposed to be like that. So we're trying to just restore this component of the healthcare industry to what it originally was designed to be.
Yeah, Ron, we're definitely going to have to talk. The three of us have to talk offline for sure.
Yeah.
Been a lot of things that have just like really resonated with us and what you're doing and how you're doing it. I've told Amit from the very beginning, I think he's one of the most innovative pharmacists that are out there, and he's been that way, and he's been that mindset guy from day one. And I can tell you're so in alignment with a lot of the things of what we're doing and the changes that we're trying to impact in this space, right? The changes we're trying to impact in pharmaceutical and healthcare, and the way that we put our intentions out there to give, right? To give but not expecting anything back. So I'd love for us to continue and talk offline for sure. But I want to thank you for joining us today on the Pharmacy Friday podcast. It's been a wealth of knowledge. We'll definitely let you know when the episode is going to be released. And we also take and create a bunch of reels that we promote it to out to list as well. So there's going to be a lot of assets created from this. We're obviously trying to build a network and reaching through pharmacists, right? These messages are so vital and important for other pharmacists to hear. What are the things you're doing? How are you creating growth? How are you not letting, those DIR fee things, challenge or be a distraction in your mind from the vision and the direction that you're headed? So I could speak, Amit and I could talk for hours about this, but we know we all got to focus back on the business and take care of our clients, our patients. And so both, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Amit, for joining us. This was an amazing episode, and I can't wait for more of our listeners to hear it.
Thank you for
Pleasure to
having me.
meet you, Ron.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Well, take care. We'll talk offline, Ron. We'll follow up with you shortly.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, Jason.